Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host Sam Animu Mackenzie, and with me, as always, Harry Flip Flop Richards. And today, because it's finally here. We haven't been waiting for it for fucking years, and then there's extra months when they said it was coming for a while, and no one got the limited test. But Counter-Strike 2 is finally here, and I've had it for a bit, but Harry's only just got his rubber little hands on it because he's an idiot who can't send someone a DM. And
Not exactly how it happened.
spay bullshit. Anyway, let's talk about CS2. And I've obviously had it for a bit, and it's gone a lot better since it was first released. But what's your first impressions of it, Harry? And more your first impressions in terms of, any glaring issues you have rather than any positives, but sprinkle them in.
I'll be honest. I was very pleasantly surprised when I first played it because, we've got a thread in our Discord, #RIP movement. I thought it was going to be so garbage. I genuinely thought it was going to be a year, 2 years before it felt anything like CSGO. And honestly, it's already pretty good. It's already pretty good. That's how I would say it. Obviously you do feel like you weigh a bit more. It's got a little bit of that Valorant movement, but yeah, honestly, very pleasantly surprised by the game, considering I always thought I'd turn into, the purist. It's I'll never be as good as CSGO, and I think maybe it probably won't. That's just the way things go. Honestly, you're always gonna have a soft spot for the game that you grow up on, and for us, that is CSGO. It's just the highest bar to hit that I think it could have possibly had, and it's already better than any other FPS. It's the second best FPS I've ever played, and CSGO's first. So I'm positive.
Sorry, I'm just processing second best you've ever played. Do you know how many hours that you put into Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone when I was trying to get you to fucking play CS? Do you remember?
We all
that?
had a phase. Look, I've played a lot of Warzone. I've played a lot of Rainbow Six. Played a lot of Battlefield, BattleBit. All of these games, you can't beat Counter-Strike. Even the Counter-Strike in beta. I back it, to be honest.
Okay, well, I think one glaring issue I'd like to talk about, because I feel like I should have noticed it the few times I played it before, but I haven't noticed it until it's actually released.
It's got worse because how many people are on it.
Fucking rubber banding when you are just going out of spawn and you can't help but run into teammates is horrible. I don't know it's happening to both teams, but it really does feel like you're ruining a spawn every round and losing a second of very valuable time. And I think it's awful that that's in the game, and that's one thing I do want to say is all these people that are oh, it's just a beta though, it's fine to have that. Fuck you guys. Fuck you all. It's not a fucking beta, right? The beta has been the last 3 months or whatever when they let 3% of the world, and not even the 3% who actually fucking play the game, have the game, right? This is a fucking soft release. Don't pretend it's anything other. All the maps are in the game mode that they want you to be playing is in the game. This is a soft release. And very, very little will change between now and the time that they say the game is actually released. Unless they do a very horrible thing and keep it in this state for a long time, because then it just becomes more questionable in terms of the major and when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. It is the soft release. This is a soft release, but also what we've kind of seen in the kind of digital games now, it doesn't really work like it used to be. A game doesn't. I know you hate this, but I'm gonna have to say anyway. Games don't have to be 100% there when they're released. They need to be 100% there a year down the line. And this is what happened with CSGO, and I know that was because Hidden Path were involved in everything, but it's the same with CS2. You release a game when it's nearly ready, because having millions of people play it is just so valuable data-wise, all of this. You don't have to release it on a CD. You're not buying a CD in the shop tomorrow, are you? That's not how this works. It's on Steam and it will be updated gradually, CSGO was.
Sorry.
And there'll be change after change.
Sorry.
And eventually it'll be much better. That rubber banding thing. so irrelevant. It will be fixed in a week.
You saying this is fine? It won't be. Placing my bet. This is fine. It's fine. You know, this happens with Battlefield. It happened with Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six was dead for a year, and then it got a lot better. You know what game it didn't happen with? Valorant. Valorant was great when it released. Valorant,
but it's in development for like 10 years. Valorant. Riot have been developing NFTs for years and years and years.
Sorry, are we pretending that these fuckers started developing this game a fucking year ago? Like, it's just the idea now of just like this whole bullshit thing of like, oh, it's a beta, it's fine. Like, fuck that, man. Like, people do this with like COD betas. Didn't have this many issues with it. I mean, Battlefield ones do, because Battlefield ones release a year earlier than they should, and not even the point where it's like, oh, give the game a year. It's like, oh, give the game fucking 2 years if they can even be asked to dev it for that long. But like, this game shouldn't have the issues it has right now. It shouldn't have them. Like,
let's get into those issues then, because honestly, I don't think they're that bad.
The rubber banding thing should not be a thing.
Yeah, well, it was going to go. It wasn't in... You literally said yourself you didn't notice it before this week. It's a thing that's come with the soft release. It's happened as more people have played on the servers.
The other thing as well, the fact that it seems to be fucking just incredibly poorly optimized. Like, you know, they made the whole thing of like, oh, we still want every dickhead with a laptop to be able to play it. And then, like, people can't. It seems to run better on good settings. Like, you start messing with your settings, you get input lag, shit like that. That shouldn't be fucking happening.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, there's certain things like that. You can say it's a fucking beta all you like, even though, you know, be careful, because Valve haven't called it a beta. They've been trying not to call it that. That clearly fucking means something, because wording is everything for companies of these size. That, like, there's just... we're going to go off on a tangent where we're talking less about CS2 and more about the fucking wider gaming industry. It's a fucking problem, man. It's a fucking problem that everyone just releases games when they're in a fucking beta state, when they're not finished, when they've got glaring fucking issues. I mean, Bethesda have just done it with fucking Starfield, but every Bethesda game is like that, so they get a pass because they're part of the reason that this has happened. Same with EA and what they do to Battlefield. And then you get other games that say in early access for like 7 years. Like, I'm sure Tarkov's been out for over 5 years, early access. Like, all this bullshit. Like, fuck the gaming industry. Let's talk about something else. I'm gonna go on a fucking rant in a minute. Let's talk about the smokes, right? Let's talk about the smokes, because obviously it's a big change, and if you ever talk to any pro player, they'll all say they hate it. They'll all say they want it to be changed. I said that when they first showed it off. I seem to remember you saying that it's been changed a lot. If you blow apart smoke with a grenade, it doesn't last as long. The bullet holes definitely aren't as big as they were at first. And I'm gonna be honest, I really like it. And it could change with the meta, like when pros get their hands on the meta and how they interact with smokes when it's on an exec. But at the moment, people aren't throwing nades at smokes when you exec on a site. And other than that, the few times you use it, I quite like it. But how much have you used it, Harry? Because I haven't seen you use it when we played.
I've probably like 5 kills for a smoke with a nade, like in 15 games or something. Like, it's not that common. But the thing with smokes is, I agree. I'm glad they changed the bullet holes. I think that would have been so bad. Like, the bullet holes thing is, like, it's happened like twice, like spamming a smoke on banana, like, oh, is he top sandbags or something? Like, it's not. It's like it's those little things. It's not game breaking like some people thought it would be, including me. Like, when they showed it off in the video with the fucking, like, that was insane. The way it was showed off in the video, I thought this is gonna change the game so much. I don't like it. Same with the grenades, but now it's like, now it's kind of just a little bit more gimmicky and not. I still don't love that it's in the game, but it's not going to break the game, so it's fine. My main issue with the smokes is actually just that they last longer. I don't think it's set. Yeah. I don't think it's set to a different timer. I think it's because of the way the smokes fade. Like in Go, like as the smoke's fading, you go, right? But in CS2, you have to wait for it to be completely gone. And I think that those extra few seconds actually suck. Because there's even like, like too much of CSGO is spent waiting behind a smoke, because in 2015, the way they fixed everyone waiting behind smokes wasn't to make the smoke shorter. They just made the round longer. So we've been dealing with that ever since. And I was hoping, to be honest, like instead of MR12, I was hoping maybe the round timer goes down and the smokes go down. I was hoping that could be an alternative solution, right? But MR12 is the way we've gone. We've still got 2-minute rounds, 1 minute 55. And the smokes are like 18, 20 seconds, it feels like. Like, I don't know if it's because my internal clock is used to go, where I'm like waiting on the other side of smoke and I'm like ready to go. Like, if like my internal clock is saying I'm ready, and you just have to wait for another 2 seconds. And I think generally long smokes aren't that fun. Like, I know it'll make executes easier and whatever, but when you're just waiting on the other side of smoke, it is one of the most boring things in Counter-Strike, and I thought they would change it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is down to just how they've fade, or maybe they've made it purposely that way as a counter to the being able to blow them apart,
fading
kind of thing. But yeah, there's been a few times where, like on Inferno, I'll smoke long or short, go out the other side, and then I'm like, oh, I should check behind me. I'm probably about to get shot in my back now, and it's there still, which, yeah, I'm not moaning about. It's a second more safety, but it does feel odd. And there's sometimes where I'm like, how much is this slowing down the game? How much is this affecting decision making? How much, when people get more used to it, when you get the higher level, what's things going to look like then? Because especially with MR12, and I want to talk about MR12 a bit in a second, even though we did the episode on it, I am kind of worried, and we'll talk about the economy then as well, but I'm kind of worried that we're getting to a point where once we see this at high level, saving is going to be off the charts. We're going to have like Virtus Pro saving like for every team. I really think it's going to be heavy saving for a while.
Yeah, and these smokes being this long, like retakes, oh my god, it's gonna be rough. So yeah, I do think it might be going that way, but again, it's like these are the type of things that, as much as Valve should know about them, like until it's properly play tested, sometimes you just don't. And they're going to be getting, and I know this is the angle you hate, but this is this type of thing, like it's not, I wouldn't be surprised if smokes would change in the next 12, 18 months to be just a little bit shorter, just to be a little bit, just so that they're more like Go. Like, I think that's kind of where they've been aiming. Like, they've been saying in patch notes,
no.
things like that.
You say I hate things like that. I just want to I don't hate things like that. That's fine. That's
but
fine.
You would say that it should be the same already, right? No.
Not if.
But they should have realized they would have changed it.
No, not if they were testing. Not if they were testing it as a way to counter the time you'd lose from a nade blowing the smoke up.
Oh yeah, that's stupid.
Then if it's logical, but that is a logical thing to do at that point. Make it last a second longer because you lose a second for that. That's something I'm fine with. That's like perfectly okay because that's logic. It's got logic behind it. Change for the change's sake. I don't think that was a real sentence. Change for the sake of changing is something that I feel is unnecessary because I don't feel like they needed to do everything to make it its own new separate game. I think what they've done to the maps is good enough for that. I think what they've done with the ranks is good enough for that. But if I didn't like the idea of them just changing things in like 18 months, then that would be absurd because at the end of the day, one of the reasons why CS has been good and bad at points, the SG and the org that stopped us playing for a while. But things like that is because things do change in CS and things change through Go and things still change through Go. So I'm not going to get mad over that as long as there's a logic behind it. But let's talk about MR12, right? Because we did our episode on it and we had our thoughts. I really hated it then and I fucking hate it now. And it just feels like you don't get into games, man. You just get into a half and the half's over. But now you've played it a bit, because you never really played much Valorant. I've played a lot more Valorant than you. How are you feeling about it?
I think MR12 is a tricky one, to be honest. I think it's like honestly, I don't think it's terrible. Like I kind of do get the casual side of it from just me playing myself. Like it's been quite fun to just game, and just bash into it. Like it doesn't feel like as much of a time commitment to play, which is probably a good thing. But yeah, competitive side, you're right. There's just not really the time to adapt in a half. I don't think it feels like that anyway. Especially CT side. Like if you lose pistol CT side, you just don't. It just feels like the half just skips you by. To be honest, like it's so hard to build a bank on CT side in Go, and when you have fewer rounds, like it is hard. But I think we're at the point now where it's just like this is the future. This is where it's at. And I think instead of reverting MR12, they're going to be changing other stuff around the game to make MR12 better. And I think one of those will be, I think the economy will change. I think round three will be a gun round for CTs. If it isn't in the next 12 months, that's insane. And I'll be right there with you shouting about like the CTs need help. Like I had an idea on Twitter the other day. Like, you know, you get 800 each if you plant the bomb on T side, which is something we'll accept. But I think that's fucking insane. I think it's awful. I think you make it 400 each for planting the bomb and then 400 each for CTs for defusing the bomb. Something like that. There's too much money for T sides. T sides just buy. You think you've won a really good round, but you have 2 alive. They have like, they all died but planted. They've got a better buy than you. Like it's ridiculous. There needs to be something done to fix that. And I think MR12 will expose that problem more than MR15.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing I'd do, or I'd try it at least, is making it so loss bonus is different.
Start at 1900 or what?
I'd do that anyway, but I mean that Ts and CTs have different loss bonuses. I think that would be a very good change.
I'd hate that though. I'd much rather have the same loss bonus, but stuff costs the same. Like Diffuse Kit 200, Incendiary 400, M4's both 2700. Then it's fine. Then it's literally fine. The issue is that 4,000 isn't enough for CT and it is enough for T side to get like a decent buyout. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, you can also bring the cost of things down. I mean, like Phantom and the Vandal cost the same amount. Things like that. Like, I think in terms of the economy, actually, as much as, you know, I've complained that CS2 is like the Valorant-ifying of CSGO, I think in terms of the economy, there is a lot that they could learn from Valorant for CS2 if MR12 is the way they're going. One thing I wouldn't like to see them do is punishing saving. I know I've said I think saving will become a really good thing, and saving is shit and it is boring, but the way they punish it in Valorant is dumb.
What do they do? I actually don't know.
You get less money for saving as a defender and maybe an attacker. Like, even if it's like 1v4 bomb down, you're like better
like
off.
half money or something.
You're better off going to die.
That's what I hate.
I might have that wrong, but I'm 99% sure that's what they do. And it's like, that is fucking stupid, because the only times then you see people save is something that CS2 will never have, that Valorant does have, in that there might be 1 or 2 players who can also buy a gun and they'll have a jet ult or a chamber ult, and they'll have an ult that can work as a primary weapon. CS2 will never have that luxury. So there has to be, like, that can't happen. They can't punish save, and if they do that, we're going down a slippery slope. Yeah, the economy it has to be changed. I do think the first thing would be changing the prices of things. I kind of like your idea, with the diffuse thing and the plant thing. But I do also think the more important one would just be changing things. Mollies cost too much. Kit, you could bring the price down. M4 certainly should have the price brought down. I don't see any reason why the AK should cost less than the M4. They should just cost the same amount. They've all got their positives and their negatives, except the A4 because it's shit. But yeah, I think MR12 for me, it doesn't have Counter-Strike aura. It's always been a sticking point for me in Valorant, and I still wish it it wasn't the case. But let's move on, unless you've got something else to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I do keep, you hinted at an intro, I do keep flip-flopping at MR12 because I just, as much as it feels a bit wrong for me because I've always had MR15 and everything, like I just do think it was necessary to make games shorter. I do think that was a completely necessary change. And there's other ways to do it, but this is the slam dunk, easiest way to do it. We'll fix the things that it exposes later. I know it feels too short, but I really think that once the economy sorted, like there's so many gun rounds now. Like we started playing CS when it was still the old economy and you were double ecoing like twice a half. Like there's enough gun rounds that if you win an MR12 game, like I know people are going to moan about pistols in the current economy, but if they fix it a little bit and the CTs have a better run of things, you've got enough gun rounds that you can't be saying it's too random. Like, yeah, best of ones need to go in the bin, like, obviously. But I think that's more of a map pool thing than the amount of rounds thing. Like, best of ones just enabled wrong things, I think. Whereas best of threes obviously are different, but I do think games need to be shorter. Like, I literally looked at it the other day, like, the average CSGO best of 3 is like 3.5 hours. That's longer than an NFL game. I looked at it, I compared it to all the other major sports. Like, there's an article coming out soon. It's longer than NFL. It's longer than, like, baseball. It's longer than ice hockey. It's longer than everything. Even a 2-0 is, like, longer than a football match, like a soccer match for noobs. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, the average length of a game is longer than any working adult has on a weekend. It is.
No, I'm just laughing about the fact that you went to insult Americans and then you decided to just say noobs.
Yeah, look. We got lost in the flow. But the point is, these games are too fucking long. You know it. I know it. We're working. Like, I know we're working in CS, but we're still working. And then, like, what adult works like a 9 to 5, comes home and is like, oh, I've got a spare 4 hours, I'm going to switch Pro League on. Like, this is just not something that people are going to do.
Sorry. At least say a real tournament.
No, but this is what most games of the year are a Pro League game. But, like, this is why MS12 is necessary, man. It is. It's why it's necessary, because the only people who have the money to pay are people who work. You need to appeal as a sport and as a game, because this applies for casuals playing it too, to people who work, because they're the ones with the money. The whole point is to appeal to people with money. And MR12 will make the game short enough that, you know, you can have more engaged viewers. You just are. No one likes committing that much time to, like, nobody. And CS as well, like, you're not watching one game a day. It's not like other sports where you switch your favourite team on. It's more of a, you watch all the games, right? So that's, like, already getting a bit long. It's already a bit much. And I do think MR12 is kind of a necessary evil for that, because I don't see another way to trim broadcast days down to, like, 10 to 12 hours.
Oh, that was naive. They ain't going to trim broadcast days down, motherfucker. There's just going to be more games until the time is equal.
Valorant don't. Valorant still have 3 best of 3s in a day, right?
I don't fucking know, but they also
like tops.
They do like 3 or 4 best of 5s a fucking event, and that's shit.
Yeah, but that's double limb Riot nonsense. That's not the format's fault.
Yeah, but, like, Riot will also pretend like they're doing that for the players. But when StarLadder come back from their fucking grave, like, mate, we'll be seeing like 7
4 best of 3s.
Yeah. 4 is fucking naive, mate. Fucking they'll
be 4's max, mate. 4's max. Even MR12, the games, it's going to be like 3-hour games, 3-hour best of 3s. You've got to plan for at least 3 hours.
I don't know. But let's move on, right? Let's talk about the visuals, because I feel like we might have a difference of opinion here, because I know I've already really confused our friend Oscar when describing my thoughts on the visuals. And it's not hard. For context, it's not hard to confuse Oscar. He's not the sharpest tool.
Bless him.
But I think the visuals are, you know, they're objectively good. The game looks fucking great. It really does. But I fucking do not like them. I do not like them at all. I think the maps are too bright. Like, especially what it does with the shadows. Like, that's a whole fucking problem. The shadows are a joke. But I don't like it because it doesn't feel like Counter-Strike to me. I think, because here's the thing, right? Like, I never really played 1.6. I never really played Source. Like, the only times I've ever played them is, like, after I started playing Go. And I only started playing Go, like, late 2016, some shit like that. But to me, every Counter-Strike game looks like a Counter-Strike game, and I know that's easy to say because, I played the whatever version of Counter-Strike, but in terms of the visual style and the color of them, they all, to me, like, look like Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike 2 just doesn't, man. I don't like it.
I just when I first saw the pictures of it, it was the same. I thought it looked like too cartoony, too this, too that. Like some of the boxes on Overpass are just a bit like, they're so Valorant. It's so Valorant. I do. Obviously, I'll agree with you on this one. I think the visuals, how bright it is, like, okay, yeah, we won't have to turn the digital vibrance on. Like, it's probably going to be easier to see people eventually, but honestly, like, as much as that it's easier to see people on the background of maps, like, it's way harder. The new Molotov is awful for visibility. You can't see anything through that.
Oh, the new Molotov's horrible.
New Molotov looks awful, and you can't see anything through it anyway. The new smokes,
the nade explosion, the
way the smokes bloom just does like a Counter-Strike's supposed to be obviously it's not realistic, but it's supposed to be a bit more gritty, a bit more, like, especially compared to something like Valorant. And the smokes do just look like a Valorant smoke, to be honest. I don't really like the art style as much, but
Valorant you played.
Like, they kind of just, they don't look like a normal smoke blooming in a video game, right? And I'm not saying CSGO does either, obviously, but the point is, I think it is a little bit too cartoony, to this, to that. Like, that is where I'm never gonna like it, but I understand why they've done it, and it's not for me. It's not for you either. It's the bridge to the modern audience, the Fortnite audience, and that's whatever, fine. The game can still run. Like, a lot of visuals are still there. Like the maps still look like CS maps to me. Like, they do look a little bit like CS mobile maps more than CS, but they still look like CS. All the models look great. Like the T models, the CT models, they still look exactly like they should look. I just think it's like, is it worth the visibility buff to have like all these cartoons? Like, I think maybe personally I wouldn't have done it, but I see why they have.
No, I will say from, I've got a 16-year-old cousin. I played a bit of Valorant with him when he got his PC and with his mates, and they knew I work in CS, so they'd talk to me about that, and I'd ask them, why don't you play CS? And one thing they did say was just how dark it was. I mean, for me, I've always liked that because, like, I played a lot of COD before CS, and everyone always talks about how cool Black Ops 2 looked. Fuck the way Black Ops 2 looked, and like Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. Like,
it's always a Modern Warfare boy.
Infinity Ward games always look better. Ghosts, for me, look better than any COD ever. I've never really liked the cartoony graphics from shooters, except Valorant. I actually really allow it for Valorant because that is the point of the game. I just don't think it matches COD and CS and shit like that. That's not the point. It will aid getting in those younger audiences. It will bring some people over from Valorant, and that is the point of this game. That is the point of this game. If they weren't worried about Valorant, if they didn't want to beat Valorant to some extent to get some of that audience back, this game wouldn't exist. They wouldn't have done it. I'm confident of that. Because regardless of how many people you might have seen in the little Twitter echo chamber asking for fucking Source 2, they still loaded the game every fucking day. And they were still going to keep doing that, and CS's player base is going up anyway. It wasn't a dying game. It would have never died. And that's the truth. You only have Counter-Strike 2 because Valorant exists. And that's why a few of the changes have been made the way they've been made. But I think that's all I've got to say about the visuals. I just don't like them. I'm never going to like them. It's just an art style I don't appreciate.
Yeah, and you know what? That's fine. Like, that's
the
direction they've gone. It's fine. It's not what we would exactly choose, but like, it's not going to make or break the game for me at all.
No, it's not going to stop me from playing it. But yeah, like, it's just an art style thing. You can't like every art style. It's like film. Some people love Wes Anderson's art style. It makes me want to claw my eyes out. But that's just it. So let's talk about Gunplay, right? Because Gunplay is one thing that I really just have a hard time placing my finger on at the moment, and I have the whole time I've been playing it. Sometimes it feels so fucking crisp, man. Like, the one taps I hit, one taps I hit, never hit them on go. Like, you went off the other day, and it was me, Oscar, and Ding playing, and I had a round with the Galil. I promise you, however many years we've known each other, I've never had a round like that in my life. Never. It was clean. And sometimes the AWP feels great. Like, I'm hitting shots with the AWP, I don't hit. Then the next round, it feels fucking terrible. And I don't know if that's a ping thing.
Have you played with the config fix? Because the game, the default saying is that it updates like every, like you're basically playing on 20 tick with the default network settings. Have you seen the thing on Reddit? So I think this is why, because
sorry, you asked me if I'd seen a thing on Reddit.
No, it's been all over Twitter this morning as well.
All right.
But it's just a thing. Like the default saying in CSGO is 64, and for some reason in CS2 it's 20. Like it's why I think a lot of the lagging is happening as well. Like a lot of the dying around corners. We haven't mentioned that yet, which is obviously one of the most frustrating things that can happen in any game. But apparently people with the new setting is actually fine. So I think once they just change the default setting to like 128.
Yeah.
Everyone has like the rates and their configs from CSGO. Like you forget that if you play CSGO on default settings, it feels like shit as well. Like there's a lot of messing around you have to do in config. And to be honest, as much as in CS2, they're kind of anti-config. They want it to all be in the settings, but that's not going to work. We're still going to lava configs. Like we're too stubborn. And I think that's the gunplay for me as well, is that there's rounds where it feels crisp and there's rounds where it doesn't. And I'm just hoping it's an internet thing. Like I haven't played on the new settings either because when it feels bad, it feels really bad. And spraying, like,
spraying.
If I'm,
so
do you know what
bad.
it is? No, but I think it's on purpose, because if I'm like short, medium range spraying at a wall, it'll still be the tiny cluster. Long range spraying feels way worse. I don't know if it's more inaccurate. I don't know the numbers. Feels more inaccurate at long range. Maybe I'm just bad. I've not played in a while. But it's also that.
No.
It feels like they want you to tap and burst at long range, right? That's what it feels like. It feels like it takes, if you spray like 7 bullets and then stop and the reset time feels longer, it feels like they want it to be a tapping, bursting game.
No, I think it's short range as well. I have seen
short range, I'm fine.
I have seen you and Oscar both whiff kills quite a few times, actually, that I've never seen you on go. Especially Oscar. Oscar's had some stinkers. And for context again, Oscar is the best player we play with. Like, he's comfortably level 10. He's very fucking good at Counter-Strike.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't speak in levels.
Oh, yeah. Like, he doesn't whiff the shit that I've seen him with. And it's only when he's spraying, and they were short to medium range. Like, there's just something really inconsistent about it, and maybe it's netcode, maybe it's some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it don't feel consistent. It feels a lot more like Valorant spraying at the moment. And
yeah, and I hope that's not intentional.
From what I can tell, they haven't made it that way, because I have tested shooting guns into walls, but for some reason, when you shoot at people, it feels inconsistent. You shoot a wall, it's consistent.
It sounds like it's an internet thing, right?
Yeah,
because I've done the same thing with the walls. It must be internet, something to do with the ticklers, something to do with the rates. Like, because this is the thing, like they've clearly ported the spray. Have you tried using an MP9 yet, by the way?
No.
Don't. It is dog shit. It's something to do with the spraying and the internet and whatever, but I genuinely haven't got a kill with the MP9 yet. I'm actually full on the Sphinx MP7 just because it actually feels accurate. But
I'm going back to
the spraying just feels garbage. It does feel garbage. I don't know what it is causing it. I really hope it's the internet. I really hope it's not an intentional thing, because there's nothing better than a fucking Counter-Strike spray down. There's nothing better. Like watching Mega spray. I need that in CS2.
Since it came out, because in the first few days I had it, I was playing with Ethan, and he asked me to stream it for him. So I just streamed him deathmatch, and he was like, "You normally get these kills," and I was like, "Yeah, spraying feels like horrible. It feels awful. Like, watch this. Close the stream, loaded go, stream deathmatching go. Same kills I was getting every time.
Yeah.
Like, there's something genuinely really off with spraying in CS2 to a point where it needs to be top 3 priority to fix whatever the fuck that issue is, because it is bad. CS is so special because of its gunplay, and if they can't get their gunplay right, there's going to be a fucking issue.
Yeah, it's the most important thing. It's a shooting game. But yeah, I've got faith. I've got faith that this is hopefully an internet thing, because you're right. It is when there's people on screen is when it feels weird. And
Yeah.
and maybe that's just it should be fixed.
Okay, so let's talk about the thing you brought up right at the start. It's going to be a much bigger thing for you than it is for me, although I will say for me it feels like sludge all round. It doesn't feel as smooth as Go to me in general. Movement. What's your thoughts? What's your feelings?
Hashtag rip movement. But I mean, it's not quite rip movement. It's just that every iteration of Counter-Strike has made the movement worse. Like, this is clearly something that Valve, because it is unintentional, like bunny hopping and even surfing to an extent. Like, it's not supposed to be in the game. It's not designed to be there. I think they would be much happier if everyone was just, normal Counter-Strafing. But there is something to the idea that you feel heavier. Like, it's something that's hard to describe more than that. Like, first time I booted up Valorant, I remember thinking, like, fucking hell, how slow am I moving? Like, that's what it felt like. And I think CS2, you're moving at the same unit speed. Like, you're definitely moving at the same speed, but just like, I don't know if it's something to do with the internet again, because it's like when you press D, it feels like there's a little bit of a lag. Like, the same with like throwing grenades, like you let go and there's like a delay. I think Dupree tweeted about that. That feels awful. Yeah, I've just like, you've seen me in CSGO. Like, I can hit bunny hops on 64 ticks, like, quite often, to be honest. And
overpass all one.
Yeah. God.
What a
shame
clip.
we don't have beef to cut that in. But yeah, see, like, you can hit bunny hops even on 64 tick. Like, if you've got your strafing right, like, you can. Like, I'm the only one in our friend group who's ever touched a KZ map. You can tell.
Fuck KZ.
And it's that type of thing where I think Valve are kind of intentionally nerfing it a little bit, and that's just sad for me. It's sad for me that they are, because I think it's one of the things that make it so amazing. Like, even because it's so applicable to competitive play, even when a lot of people think it isn't. Like, the amount of times you're watching Rops or m0NESY in a clutch and they just do like a little quick skill jump, and they've taken a lot of skill jumps out of the game, but some are still there. Like, one of my favorite clips in CS will be that m0NESY clip where he jumps from fouling onto new box, and if he misses that jump, he's just dead. They're like pushing banana, and he's like, I'm just going to jump new box, and then kills. Like, that is, for me, that's the type of play that you can't get in other games. Like, and I know everyone's going to mention, like, oh, we do this with Jet, and in COD, you can do the fucking, like, wall running. I don't care. There's nothing as good as someone spamming the AD keys to make a jump further away. That's great. And in CS2, it feels like that's not quite as there. Like, I think, like, it's very noticeable to everyone that the strafing just feels slightly off. And again, you can't get into their heads. You don't know if it is on purpose, but as long as peaking feels okay, like, I can accept that maybe no one actually cares about that.
As long as peaking feels okay.
This is what I was about to say. It doesn't, right?
Wonderful. No. Peaking feels wonderful because the game's got so much peeker's advantage.
Oh, loads, yeah.
Holding angles is impossible. Sorry, carry on. I just had to say that.
Yeah, no, because peaking, even though you've got so much advantage, it still feels kind of, to me at least, like the counter-strafing feels a little bit worse. It feels a little bit slower. But yeah, you're right. Like, when you're getting peeked by someone, you're lucky to get a shot off. Like,
one reason why I think, like, because in terms of aim, like, if the main people we play with, I'm like one of the lower ability ones. Like, we play with some like nutty aimers, right? I've been doing better than a lot of you consistently. Do you know the reason I think I've been doing better? Because I've been playing a fuck ton of Valorant recently. The game plays like Valorant right now. Don't hold angles. It's not worth it. You'll get killed. Peeker's advantage is nuts. Swing on people. Swing on people at really fucking random. Swing on people at really random times, and swing wider than you would in Go. Like, I'm even going to start doing this. I'm even going to start doing this stupid corner jumping shit that you do in Valorant. Like, I'm playing this game like Valorant until someone tells me not to, because it's working.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to say in terms of the movement and what you said about things being slower, I feel like the maps, and I don't know whether it's just because they all look different, I feel like the maps are slightly bigger. Because every time that someone's done a showcase of, like, a new map when they've released, they don't look bigger to the point where you stare at it and it's like, oh, that's definitely bigger. That's definitely like 2 extra steps or whatever. but there's certain things that just look slightly wider at points, slightly longer at points. And I feel like just some parts of some maps are just very slightly bigger, and that's part of it. It's probably
I know it's for timings,
but they
like
just
Ancient T-Spawn's
like
been moved back. You'll notice that.
I've not played Ancient.
Well, it's been moved back a little bit. I think they definitely messed around with timings, and someone will do a video on it at some point. Like, they've definitely tried to change when meeting points are a little bit on a few maps. Inferno, it definitely feels a little bit bigger. But I haven't thought about this before you just said it, but Inferno Banana feels bigger. Banana definitely feels bigger.
Yeah.
And the half wall, it looks like the half wall's smaller, but I think it's just because everything else is bigger.
Yeah. So one last thing I wanted to talk about then, and that's because I don't give a fuck about the leaderboards thing. That shit's whatever. But map ranks. I wanted to talk about map ranks, right? Because that's actually, for me, the coolest change they've made. I think it's really good, and I really hope that it incentivizes people to play within the game, not use third-party sites, because that is one thing I've always thought was really weird about Counter-Strike. I don't think it was necessarily bad. I just thought it was weird that was the accepted
Hard to explain to new players, isn't it?
Yeah, that and it was always a thing that made a lot of my other friends stop playing the game because they just couldn't be asked to load Face It as well. But I also think, and the reason why I think it's going to be really good is because I think it will incentivize players to play more maps, because everyone plays CS, or most people play CS competitively. So especially when you get these new players, right? And maybe it's a group of like 8 people that start playing it, and they play it in like random little fives of whoever's on, and if there's too many people, maybe the other 3 will go in trio queue and all this shit. And I think what you'll end up being is people being like, oh, I got global yesterday. Oh, on what map? Mirage. Oh, that's cool, we're global too. What are you on Overpass? Oh, I'm like LEM. Oh, I'm silver too. And then people will like feel competitive about it because they know they're good enough at the other maps, and people will want to have the same rank on every map. I think it's going to be really interesting to see at the end of next year what the map played percentages are, because at the moment it's fucking huge disparity. You get like Vertigo is like 2% of all games played, which is insane. Like, I fucking hate Vertigo, but if the map's
Vertigo's fault, not the player's fault.
Yeah. But but it's not the only map, is it? Like Ancient, Anubis, like they're both under 5% as well, like shit like that. Like, and it's crazy that there's maps in the competitive pool that are that low, and I think that this change will kill that, and I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's only a positive change because they've still got the CS rating as your overall rank. So it's only positive. I don't think you're going to stop people only playing Mirage. I don't think you're going to stop people only playing Vertigo, but at least you expose them a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, I'm global. And it's like, yeah, on what? And then they're like, Office in Italy. It's like, okay, fine. Well, you're shit then.
You're not a real.
Yeah, like grow up and get on Premiere mode with Valve's wacky pick ban system. But
Strange system.
It is weird, isn't it? I know it's what they use at the majors, and it's still weird. It's just still weird to me. But yeah, no, I think the leaderboards are cool. I don't think it's going to completely kill Face It, because I think Face It will come out with, as always with a paid service, they're going to have better servers than Valve's. Like, there's still going to be a reason to use Face It. It's where FBL's going to be. Like, there's nothing like that in game. I think they could have made it in game. They should have like seasonal leagues and stuff. Like, it wouldn't be hard for them to do it.
I think they'll do it, because I think they'll look at Premier Mode in Valorant and think it's cool and add shit like that.
Yeah,
I think that
should be there.
That will come.
It should be there. You shouldn't. You're right. It's completely alien that you should have to open a website and download this like crazy anti-cheat that can scan everything and, owned by fairly dodgy people. But it's completely alien that should be like a minimum requirement for the game. Minimum requirement for the game. Download this anti-cheat. Why? Why do I have to? It should be in game.
I've already said I'm not playing Face It in CS2. I'm not doing it. I really want CS2 to be good enough on its own that I don't need to. I don't want to play CS2 and Face It. I'm going to get global on every map in the pool, and that's just going to be my thing. That's good. It's just going to be my thing. Like,
Casual gaming era.
Well, yeah, but we all should get global. Let's be fair. Like,
Oh yeah,
unless it
I have
really,
already. You have already, surely.
yeah, but unless it changes the way that like ranks work, because more people play, it might be harder to get global. That could be a thing that happens.
Yeah,
Because obviously global is so easy to get because no one good plays it.
I think it felt pretty hard because I got it in like 2016, 17 or something. I feel like Face It wasn't as big then, but maybe it's because the ACA was as big. But
it's so easy now, man.
it's just ridiculous now.
Yeah, it's so easy. Like, I remember struggling at like LEM Supreme. No, not anymore. So easy.
No.
But yeah, I've that to me of all the changes, that's my favorite change. I think it's really cool, and I'm really looking forward to actually just playing it.
I hate the way they've not. I don't know if they ported over CS rank at all, like for skill-based matchmaking and stuff. My games, oh my god, I am playing like with some of the worst players I've ever seen, and I'll have like 2 teammates that are quite good and 2 that have literally like never touched a game. It's really strange. I'm
not sure about that part.
I'm hoping for the main game it's a little bit better
because you did in the limited test, because the weird thing is like in the
because
limited
of win
test,
percentage, right?
Well, in the limited test, your rank would display if you had a ranking go, but it certainly wasn't like it wasn't going up or down. You weren't getting a rank if you won and you didn't have one, and it definitely wasn't meaning anything in the games you got. Because I had some games with some absolute crackheads, and I had some games with people who I'm pretty sure
it feels random right now.
So yeah, I think it's random at the moment. I think it might not be random once everyone's got their 10 wins. And
yeah, but placement games should involve individual performance, because like I had a Mirage game yesterday. I think it was with Ding. I had 36 kills and we lost like 13-9, and we had like 3 silvers on our team, like queued together. And it honestly, like, I checked the CSGO and I've got like 200 hours. Like, what's happening? So that shouldn't be happening.
No.
But yeah, that's not a big issue really. I'm just moaning because I like to do some of the moaning. You steal a lot of it on this show, but I get to do a little bit.
Yeah, moaning's my thing. But to close then, CS2, it ain't that bad.
That's actually fine. I've enjoyed it a lot.
It might even be good. I don't know how long it's going to take to get good. I don't think you do either, so I don't even think it's worth asking. We've said what needs to happen in our eyes, and I just hope that 95% of it happens before the major. But 95% of me knows that ain't gonna happen, because they'll be like, "Oh, we're waiting until the major to test it." Yeah,
we'll see at the major.
Fuck off. But
yeah,
anyway,
you're so ready for those best of ones, man. Best of ones, new CS2 only crackheads.
Major of all
There's gonna be a 14-year-old Russian in the final. Like, it just is.
Congratulations to Aurora for winning the first CS.
Yeah, literally. All of them with a little dyed hair. Oh my god.
Oh no, they won't dye it then, because they'll have qualified. That was their punishment for not qualifying, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
I think that was it. Yeah. Pretty sure. Don't quote me.
Okay.
Anyway. Comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on CS2. Have you played it? What needs to change? What do you like? Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I've been Sam Animo Mackenzie. He's been... I'll say your actual name. I'm nice like that. Harry Nero Richards. And we'll see you in the next one.